Coming up, a fashion designer shares the meaning behind his brands. Plus, taking care of business, heritage business that is, we hear about how to keep family heirlooms safe. And we meet an activist and a lawyer fighting to ban offensive mascots in Pennsylvania. Join us for those interviews, plus headlines on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
The ICT Newscast is sponsored by the Indian Land Tenure Foundation, a nonprofit organization serving American Indian nations and people in the recovery and control of their rightful homelands. On the web at iltf.org.
Support for the ICT Newscast with Aaliyah Chavez comes from the Arizona PBS studios in Phoenix at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications at Arizona State University.
Amadawa Hopa, thank you for joining us. I am Aaliyah Chavez. We start today in Mexico, where government officials and others are paving the path forward after a major hurricane. President Andrés Obrador said Tuesday the country will prioritize rebuilding military barracks at hotels and resorts. In late October, Hurricane Otis made landfall as a Category 5 storm, killing more than 45 people. Currently, the National Institute of Indigenous Peoples are distributing 4.5 tons of food and water across Guerrero. 70% of that state is in poverty, and its indigenous population is more than 30%. In West Virginia, prison officials are under fire for allegedly ignoring the rights of indigenous inmates. Rights Behind Bars, the Native American Rights Fund, and others last week called the state out for what they call a troubling pattern of violations. They say inmates at Mount Olive Prison are denied access to ceremonial items, including traditional foods, drums, feathers, and tobacco. The groups tell ICT West Virginia stands out compared with other prison systems.
Even the Federal Bureau of Prisons allows tobacco, even though they have a prohibition for tobacco for the rest of the prison population that allow it for Native practitioners. So it's definitely possible, and under the law, they are required to provide these accommodations for religious rights.
The advocacy groups have given state leaders 1 month to respond. Turning our ears north and east to Maine, where there is a large chunk of Penobscot homelands on track for rematriation. The Trust for Public Lands last year bought 31,000 acres near Mount Katahdin and wants it to go back into Penobscot tribal stewardship. The tribe and the trust are now out to raise $32 million to pay off the debt the trust took on for the property. The plan is for the land known as Wasateg to the Penobscot to go into trust for the tribe. It would increase Penobscot trust land by 25%.
There's quite a bit of excitement with, the general populace, but also especially within the hunting crowd, to have more trust land to be able to, for us to be able to exercise our subsistence way of life on. There's a lot of, and it's not just the hunting crowd either. It's the foragers, the folks that like to gather medicine, where we're talking about, birch bark, black ash for baskets, various things like that.
Unlike other similar transactions, this land comes with no conservation easements and would be placed solely under tribal stewardship. Well, the company Mattel is fresh off its release of a Barbie that happens to be the first real-life Native woman featured in its Inspiring Women series. Wilma Mankiller is widely known as the first woman principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Her doll is wearing a turquoise ribbon dress and carrying a woven basket. It is modeled after a photo that her husband, Charlie Soap, took of her in 2005. The doll was unveiled on Tuesday. Mankiller's family and friends were consulted to ensure that it was as authentic as possible. She was a fierce advocate for Indigenous rights and won the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1998. Barbie is set to contribute $25,000 to the American Indian Resource Center to support Indigenous women. And those are the headlines for the ICT Newscast. There are still school mascots called the R word in the state of Pennsylvania. That's the name that was dropped nearly 2 years ago by a certain Washington, D.C. NFL football team. Now there are folks in the Keystone State fighting to end the practice. ICT's Stewart Huntington caught up with 2 of them.
Donna Fanboyle has been fighting to remove the racist mascot from the high school in her town for a decade.
So my older son went through Neshaminy High School with the Redskins mascot. I didn't speak up. I kind of felt ashamed that I didn't speak up, but I didn't have my voice yet. And then when my younger son became a freshman in 2012, and I walked into the high school and I was like, oh no, I can't look at this anymore. I have to do something. I can't keep my mouth shut anymore. So that very night, I spoke with an assistant principal and I said, do you allow racial slurs? And they said, no. And I said, well, why do you have one on the wall? And they're like, well, that's our school mascot. That's our school nickname. And I said, well, it's a racial slur. And they said, well, it doesn't mean that here.
She went to the school board.
And I just figured I would tell them this and they would say, oh my gosh, we didn't know and we should do something because we're a public school and this affects children. But they didn't say that. They just said that they would look into it.
Soon Fanboyle was taking heat in the community.
Of course, it went into the newspaper about that this woman brought this subject up and said how terrible the school mascot is. And, I was the villain right away. And every time I would go to a school board meeting, there would be backlash. It's an awful burden to have to fight your community, because they're awful. It doesn't matter how much they loved you before you said the word mascot. After you said that their mascot's awful, oh my gosh, they hate you. They want to kill you. They tell you to go live on a reservation, get out of their country. They threaten you. So this ban is really necessary. It's not fair that, along with everyday life, that we should have to have this burden of fighting our community.
But she kept at it.
I filed a complaint with the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. They took it very seriously. They had never had a case like this before. And so it was intriguing to them and they weren't really sure how to handle it, I guess. They took 18 months and they ruled against the school district and said they had to cease and desist of everything.
But it wasn't a clear victory.
So the school district appealed it. And then another 18 months later, and the ruling was really strange, they came up with that they could keep the name Redskins as long as they did away with the imagery. And that if they would, they needed to educate the students in the community about racism and discrimination and all of that. And then I think their thought was that if they didn't have the image and they taught everybody what the word Redskin meant, that they would come to the conclusion that they would need to do away with it. Well, the school district appealed that as well.
The case eventually ended up in court, which 2 years ago threw it out.
They overturned everything because they said you can't sue a school district, it's not a person. And because we didn't have a Native student to stand up and say that they were harmed. So anyway, after the ruling came down and, the group of us were there witnessing this and we were just like flabbergasted. We're like, that's it. We have to do something. So we formed a coalition of Natives and allies. And so we work on, we've worked on my mascot issue somewhat, but we have to just kind of sit and watch things happen. But we've also helped other school districts, other community members who reach out to us from their own school districts and say, can you help us change our mascots?
Through the coalition, she met State Representative Chris Rabb, who introduced a bill in the legislature to ban racist mascots. Why?
Because people won't do the right thing on their own accord, with very few exceptions. In Pennsylvania, we have roughly 60 public schools across our Commonwealth that still retain these racist mascots. Now, granted, there are people who do not believe that these mascots are offensive, but that's coming from a place of willful ignorance or just ignorance. Most of the time, it's willful ignorance or defiance against Native peoples who have asked them to do this. And so what they do is they find the one person who claims to be Native and says, "Oh, it's okay." And then they use that one person and they say, "Oh, well, he identifies as Native American, so it's okay." And that's a very common strategy used by predominantly white organizations, institutions, groups, et cetera, when they want to justify keeping something that has a certain level of nostalgia, or they simply don't want to do the right thing because they don't like being asked to do the right thing by folks who they don't respect.
Rabb is clear-eyed about his bill's chances in the legislature.
Slim to none.
But he isn't giving up.
Our country can never be great until we're good. And we can't be good until we treat people with decency and respect. First and foremost, the folks who are here long before everyone else got here. And that's our Indigenous brothers and sisters. So that's where I stand.
And neither is Fan Boyle throwing in the towel.
It's been a battle. And in the beginning of my battle, it's funny because I did an interview with Indian Country Today. They did a story about what was happening with me then. And here I am 10 years later, doing it again. There's change. There's some changes. Yeah, I mean, I made a promise to people that I would not give up until it was done.
Reporting from Carbondale, Colorado, Stewart Huntington, ICT News.
As an anthropologist, Sven Haakanson says he is concerned with connecting the past to the present for Indigenous people. He is a professor of anthropology at the University of Washington and the curator of North American anthropology at the Burke Museum. In 2007, he was named a MacArthur Fellow for being a leader in the effort to rekindle the Alutiiq language, customs, and culture. Here's ICT's Shirley Sneve with this conversation.
There is a continuum of care for many Indigenous families who pass down heirlooms and cultural objects from generation to generation. Many of these objects are made of organic materials and deteriorate over time. Conservation is a topic discussed at the Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums. I asked Sven Haakanson where to seek help.
Online, there are a lot of different things online. Like, for example, if you run into a bug infestation, type in bug infestation, what to do. There's a lot of really amazing websites out there that actually talk about this and preservations. There's a lot of wonderful conservators who've written blogs. Ellen Carley is the one that I go to for different things. She's wonderful. She's out of Juneau, the State Museum. I mean, she's just the one that right off the top of my head because I've worked so closely with her and the work that she does. But there are many, many other websites out there, but it just depends on the situation of what you have. And then also finding local professionals wherever you are. They're there, and it's just finding a way to connect with them to help you care for and also celebrate what you have. What prompted me to get involved with not just preservation of cultural pieces is I wanted to learn from what was in museum collections in order to bring that knowledge back home. So I taught myself how to, working with the community members, I learned how to weave when I was 16, 17. Learned how to gather the materials, but then sort of just went off. And then while I was before I went into graduate school, I was exposed to archaeological sites, doing archaeology, and looking at this amazing collection from Carluck or K1 of preserved organics and preserved masks and mats and all this other stuff. And it's like, how do you make it? And from there, it was just like, okay, in museums, we have these amazing collections. How can we bring that knowledge back home? Well, we couldn't bring the original pieces home, but we could bring the knowledge we learned from it back home and then teach that to the community and share it with the community and then let them take it from there. And so when I came home in 2000, I was hired as the Alutiiq Museum director. But for me, what was more important about working at the museum is how do we take the museum and what we have in there and bring it out to the communities? And the one way we can do that was through working with the collections, working with artisans, working with community members to create projects that we would take out to each of the villages. And I did that for 13 years, working through the Alutiiq Museum, where we did mask carving, skin sewing, kayak making, hunting tools, ivory carving, all these different things, the skills. And so in this process, I just learned about this, learned about how to make and collect and care for these cultural pieces. But for me, what's more important is having us get access to the cultural pieces so that we can then put that lived knowledge back into a living context. That's where it really started. Is like, how do we make this, how do we get this information back into the hearts and minds of our community? If we know how to not just make them, then we're starting to learn about the stories that went into the making, the creation, the use, and the story of where that piece is, but then taking those stories further within the community so that we're now using them to celebrate and thrive with. For the care of cultural pieces, for me, the biggest thing is, yes, caring for them, preserving them, but making sure that the stories and the purpose of why we have them continues to be carried forward. Celebrating so that as Indigenous peoples, we're thriving, not just surviving anymore. We're celebrating who we are as cultures, as tribes, as individuals. Don't just store the piece and hide it away. Celebrate it. And if that is putting it back into a living context and then making new ones. Because the cultural pieces were meant to have a life, and like our lives, we go through all these different stages. Same thing with those cultural pieces. They create stories so that new stories can be created to be told, so that those stories can be told again and again, but they grow as we grow. So don't just preserve them, celebrate, use them, thrive with them.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, Shirley, Sneve, ICT News.
Conservation information is available on the Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums at atalm.org. A Sampson Cree fashion designer brings his culture to not one but two brands. Justin Jacob Lewis is the founder and creative director of Section 35 and his namesake label, Justin Jacob Lewis. ICT's Paris Wise spoke with him about the meaning behind his work and his debut at New York Fashion Week.
We're a streetwear brand is what I like to say we are. We're based out of Vancouver. And the name came was really inspired by this kind of the ongoing struggles in, where we live with Indigenous rights and title. And so Section 35 kind of was a bit of a reference to, well, it was inspired by the portion of the Constitution up here, which recognizes and protects Indigenous treaty rights and inherent Indigenous rights. So there is a bit of a political inspiration to that, but we've kind of taken, that, but created something that is creative and fun and, something you can wear. So.
Yeah, there's definitely still a big need for more. What inspired you to get into fashion and create Section 35?
I mean, I've always liked fashion and clothes, and once I first started to, dabbling in graphic design, that was really kind of where I took a look at what was out there and what wasn't out there as far as, Indigenous clothing, and something that I liked and that, I felt represented my worldviews and where I come from. And I felt like there was a need for something like that. And I really started by, the first things I ever designed was just recreating old hockey logos from my reserve back home and putting them on t-shirts and selling them to friends and family, and people really liked that. And so there was a bit of kind of nostalgia to creating clothing that was inspired by our past and by who we are and places where we come from. And that was really kind of the genesis of the brand. And from there, it's really just grown. So,
Coming from those first steps to now, talk to us about your new namesake label, Justin Jacob Lewis.
yeah, I mean, we just debuted a sneak peek of that at New York Fashion Week. And, um, I like to think part of that was, as a designer, as an artist, or whatever you want to call me, I've matured a lot. And so part of that is just as a designer maturing, wanting to try new things and try things that, your interest in different clothing changes over time. And, I've always liked nice coats and being able to dress up and stuff like that. And so looking at old photos, even of old photos of our ancestors, where they're wearing really nice coats and they've got their hair braided and three-piece suits on, really dressed nice, and finding, something like that that's indigenous design. There's not a lot of it out there. And, I've been playing with those types of designs for a while, but it kind of just became apparent that it didn't fit within Section 35 and what we do. We've kind of been doing, this our own thing with that brand for a while, and it just kind of grew into something of its own. And so it kind of just showed me that it needed to be its own line. And it's very personal for me. A lot of it's really inspired from where I come from and my community and our language and my background as a Cree person. So yeah, it was just, I think after I got back from Milan Fashion Week, I realized that there was a place out there for something like that, and especially in that market. And it really kind of solidified that, okay, we have something to bring out there and to show. And yeah, it just became took its own life. And we were lucky enough to have an opportunity to go to New York Fashion Week, so it made sense for us to roll that out there. So
Yeah, can you talk to us more about the preparation for it as well? You've done fashion shows before, but how was this one different?
yeah, so I mean, when I decided we were going to go to New York, I really wanted it to be a show, like not just clothing and stuff, but I really wanted to make sure that we bring the community aspect of what we do and who we are. And like one of the first things I did when I committed to going was reach out to Kenneth from Indigenous Enterprise and kind of pitch the concept of the show and having them come and open up before we actually show. And so making sure we could get their scheduling right, and then all the product development to make sure we had the right samples in place, all the models, even the show provided models, but it was really important that we brought our own models and our own people. And so, like, probably the most important piece of that for me was bringing the community with me, and making sure it's our own people walking in our clothes. It's, we've got dancers opening up for us, but also we had a couple jewelers who are amazing that contributed pieces. Lionel Thundercloud had put together some one-of-one pieces for some of the looks that he made specifically for the show, and Megan from MTW Jewelry, who's Cree based out in Vancouver, provided us with a bunch of jewelry. So just about everything we brought to the show was, from our community and our people. And so, that's why I said it was important that I brought our people with us, and their contributions to the show helped make the show what it was. So it was pretty special. So those were some of the really important pieces that we did. And I think it helped bring something that New York Fashion Week had, probably hadn't seen. I mean, based on the response from the people there, so many people were just blown away. And so it was really special to be able to showcase, not just my clothes, but our people that are out there doing things in the industry, like models and dancers and all of those things.
Well, more and more Indigenous brands are being born and reaching new levels. What would you say to those in Indian country who are interested in taking that next step with their work?
I mean, go for it. I think I think the most important thing is that we're putting our work out there that's authentic, that represents who we are. The end is, I mean, the fashion industry has been appropriating from our people for so long, and so it's time that they can see that, like, hey, there's people out here who are already doing it. Like, work with them, or just stop biting our stuff. We can, and at the same time, we can also do it ourselves. There's a ton of like you said, brands and designers coming out there that are super talented and doing amazing things, and I think the world needs to see it all. So,
Justin Jacob Lewis, founder and director of Section 35, and Justin Jacob Lewis, thank you so much for joining us.
thanks for having me.
Well, be sure to join us on the next ICT Newscast, which is our Veterans Day special. While many may know the Navajo Code Talkers, we'll introduce you to the Choctaw Nation Code Talkers. And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.